The VX deployed 300,000 soldiers to a ritual battle zone with the intent to eliminate a primitive species. In response, humanity sent one man, a suitcase, and allotted him 5 minutes. The alien commanders initially laughed, but their amusement quickly turned to disbelief as they ceased breathing by the 5th minute. As he stepped onto the ash-dark battlefield without armor, weapons, or an army, just a man in an overly long coat clutching a suitcase as if it held the fate of the stars, the question arose. Is this a joke? Shakar, the VX warlord, broadcasted his derision across every frequency. His amusement was evident as his image towered before the Council of Ascension. Human? One human? The crowd of intergalactic spectators burst into static-filled laughter. Over 200 alien races, watching from orbit or remote chambers, amused themselves with their manufactured honey and vapor tubes as the lone Earthborn strode onto Alien Sigma, the designated war stage. Commander Grim Solon said nothing as he walked forward, each deliberate bootstep resonating over the soil, which hissed with the residual decay of plasma from thousands of battles fought on this cursed ground. The VX warriors, suited for battle and armed with the latest technology, stood ready. Shakar, stepping forward from his war barge clad in obsidian armor marked with the blood of past conquests, demanded, "Speak, human! Give us your species' final words." In response, Grave opened his suitcase with a click, and a soft, whirring sound followed, like a dying whisper. A smooth, dark sphere floated up, pulsing slightly with silver lines webbing across its surface, alive with an ancient energy unknown to mankind. The Council's timekeeper AI, embedded in every listening device, beeped once to mark the beginning of 5 minutes. Shakar, with a dismissive wave of his claw, ordered, "Crush him." As the first VX wave of 15,000 elite drones surged forward, Grave remained motionless. The sphere pulsed once, and instantly, the leading line of VX warriors collapsed, grabbing their heads and screaming in frequencies that defied translation. Subsequent waves fell just as swiftly, and within seconds, 40,000 soldiers lay writhing or lifeless on the ground. "What sorcery is this?" Yar, another alien commander, inquired, visibly shaken. "I gave them clarity," Grave answered, his voice calm as he raised his eyes for the first time. Around the galaxy, council chambers fell silent, and on a relay ship, an Arcteron delegate whispered, "Are we under threat?" As the neuroresonance spread, ships in orbit began to fail, their crews losing control, leading to catastrophic collisions without any distress signals. "This violates Council Codex 99. You're using banned technology," accused a Zari representative. Grave tilted his head, indicating a refusal to play by their rules. Shakar, furious, summoned his premier guard, warriors bred from VX's royal bloodlines and equipped to resist psychic interference. They encircled Grave, poised to kill. However, as the orb pulsed once more, the guards froze, then collapsed, their bodies convulsing as their neural circuits overloaded. Observers began to flee, but Grave's voice stopped them, commanding all frequencies. "You stay. You watch." Shakar, his conviction waning, voiced a futile resistance. "You assume this is war." "No," Grave corrected. "This is a lesson. You brought ritual, I brought reality. You brought death, I brought truth." As Shakar lunged forward with a plasma halberd, Grave vanished only to reappear behind him, untouched. "Your army is gone, your fleet crippled. The AI gods you prayed to can't hear you anymore." "How?" Shakar whispered, his voice trembling. Grave leaned in, his tone grave. "We didn't adapt to win wars, we evolved to end them." Shakar turned to strike, but froze as the orb pulsed. He collapsed, his body disintegrating into dust, his armor and flesh deconstructed molecule by molecule. As the council timer beeped 5 minutes, Grave closed his suitcase. The battlefield fell silent, marked only by ash and the absence of life. Turning toward the council cameras, Grave declared Earth's terms. "Earth accepts your surrender." With that, he walked into the dust, leaving behind a legacy that would imprint itself on the memories of every observer. Humans are not weak. They are the answer to your arrogance. Above Alien Sigma, The skies altered as Beck's dreadnoughts darkened, systems failing without reason, the silence not just tactical, but surgical and deliberate. Warfare procedures dictate that Earth will be sanctioned, your species quarantined, and your systems dismantled, declared the Council. Graves' response was measured. Earth didn't send me. Yar blinked in confusion. What? I wasn't picked, Grave explained. I volunteered. As he spoke, the surface of Elan Sigma began to tremble. Obsidian cracks expanded, leaking light, and the ground pulsed like an awakened heart. Ancient symbols, old and fluid, climbed from the dust, spreading in fractal shapes that defied conventional geometry. Council observers didn't recognize the language, but they didn't need to. Every translator AI returned the same ominous phrase. You were warned. On the orbital feed, Council representatives argued in terror. Chancellor Ortel requested an instant recall. The Galari delegate accused Earth of heresy, while others simply prayed. Below, Grave Solon stood unmoved as the resonant sword floated above his open palm, pulsating with increasing tempo. His eyes shone faintly, not with energy but with something far more unsettling, certainty, the kind that only comes from knowing you've already won. Do you see now? Grave spoke calmly, addressing not just Jacker but the entire galaxy. This was never about strength, it was about comprehension, and you've been playing with spears in a globe of stars. From his second dropship perched atop a mobile assault rig the size of a city block, Shakar roared. You hijack ancient weapons and dare call it warfare? Grave tilted his head slightly. You call it war, I call it caution. Jacker's voice boomed through all frequencies. All surviving forces converge. Destroy the human. Scorch the field. Dozens of our ex-high commanders obeyed as the remaining legions, nearly 70,000 strong, regrouped. Their command drones rebooted under emergency fire protocols. The assault rig's seismic cannons aligned, and massive energy coils began charging. The air thickened, electric, horrible. Grave closed the suitcase with a gentle click, then knelt and touched the soil. The ground screamed as tendrils of black light exploded outward, seizing tanks, beasts, and soldiers. Where the tendrils touched, metal broke, minds shattered, and war machines turned inside out. Screams collapsed into static, and bodies twisted in reverse, vanishing before their echoes could catch up. The cannons fired, but nothing hit. Each beam and anti-ship munition simply vanished, as if the universe had decided not to allow it. Shockwaves rippled outward, tearing apart the V's own forward bases. Jacker watched in dread as his best were unmade. You don't grasp what you're using, he screamed. I do, Grave replied coldly. That's why it works. In orbit, Council dreadnoughts began listing, engines flared randomly, gravity fields collapsed, and one vessel cracked in half without a sound. Its halves drifted apart in complete silence, internal crew logs revealing no sabotage, no external hit, just a mass desertion of reality itself. Below, the resonance orb fractured. It didn't break, it unfolded from within. A second sphere emerged, throbbing white-hot, not with heat but with the raw power of uncontained potential.